Welcome to the 2017-2018 Professional Standards Test Security Training. Today's training is presented by the Test Development and Measurement Office. This training ensures that all personnel involved in the handling and administration of assessments given within the Orange County School District understand the importance of standardization and test security. Let's begin with the basics, the nitty-gritty on test security. The nitty-gritty on test security. Once you have completed this training, you will have a clear understanding of the relationship between test security and solid test results, the difference between the teacher role and the test administrator role, and the consequences of breaches in standardization and test security. These three tenets will harness the information presented today. As we get started, let's look at how test security is defined and why it has become so important. What exactly is test security? Test security is the means by which the physical assessment documents and the information within those documents, whether paper or online, remain confidential before, during, and after testing. The purpose of test security is to provide fair and valid test results for students, teachers, and schools. A securely administered assessment provides an accurate picture of a student's knowledge and skills, which can be used to drive instruction and guide intervention. Long ago, test security seemed to be merely comprised of teachers peering down over the rim of their glasses to catch wandering eyes during a test. However, there is a greater need for test security in today's classroom. Though not a new concept, the realm of test security has transformed as more and more legislation and educational reform is focused on high-stakes testing and accountability. Why is test security so important? Because important decisions are made based on assessment data, it is crucial to get fair and consistent test results. If test security is violated, it compromises the quality of district and statewide decisions and the district's ability to accurately judge performance. This hinders our mission to be the top producer of successful students in the nation. In order to make valid comparisons between students, schools, and districts, assessments must be administered the same way every time and in a secure manner. Decisions made using invalid test data ultimately hurts our students. And because test security breaches hurt our students, the Florida legislature has passed a Test Administration and Security Statute, which highlights guidelines set to ensure test security is maintained at all times. Maintaining test security is not only important for all stakeholders, it is also the law. A copy of the Florida Test Security Statute is included in every state assessment test administration manual. We'll review a portion of the statute here, but it is imperative that you review the full document each time you receive a new test administration manual. Here is the Florida Test Security Statute. Florida Test Security Statute 1008.24 on test administration and security states, a person may not knowingly and willfully violate test security rules adopted by the State Board of Education for mandatory tests administered by or through the State Board of Education or the Commissioner of Education to students, educators, or applicants for certification, or administered by school districts pursuant to Statute 1008.22, or with respect to any such test, knowingly and willfully to give examinees access to test questions prior to testing, copy, reproduce, or use in any manner inconsistent with test security rules all or any portion of any secure test booklet, coach examinees during testing, or alter or interfere with examinees' responses in any way. Make answer keys available to examinees. fail to follow security rules for distribution and return of secure tests as directed, or fail to account for all secure test materials before, during, and after testing. Fail to follow test administration directions specified in the test administration manuals, or participate in, direct, aid, counsel, assist in, or encourage any of the acts prohibited in this section. Any person who violates this section commits a misdemeanor of the first degree, punishable as provided in Statute 775.082 or Statute 775.083. The ramifications for violating test security may include fines, revocation of teaching certificate, and or jail time. In addition, the Florida State Board of Education Test Security Rule states how test security is to be maintained. Tests implemented in accordance with the requirements of sections 1004.93, 1008.22, 1008.30, 1012.55, and 1012.56 shall be maintained and administered in a secure manner such that the integrity of the test shall be preserved. Test questions shall be preserved in a secure manner by individuals who are developing and validating the tests. Such individuals shall not reveal in any manner, verbally or in writing, the test questions under development. Test or individual test questions shall not be revealed, copied, or otherwise reproduced by persons who are involved in the administration, proctoring, or scoring of any tests. Examinees shall not be assisted in answering test questions by any means by persons administering or proctoring the administration of any tests. Examinees' answers to questions shall not be interfered with any way by persons administering, proctoring, or scoring the examinations. Examinees shall not be given answer keys by any person. Persons who are involved in administering or proctoring the tests, or persons who teach or otherwise prepare examinees for the tests, shall not participate in, direct, aid, counsel, assist in, or encourage any activity which would result in the inaccurate measurement or reporting of the examinee's achievement. Each person who has access to tests or test questions during the development, printing, administration, or scoring of the tests shall be informed of specifications for maintaining test security, the provisions in statute and rule governing test security, and a description of the penalties for breaches of test security. School-based test coordinators take the lead in managing the administration process at school sites, but everyone has a hand in the responsibility of maintaining test security before, during, and after testing. Everyone must do their part to ensure a successful test administration every time. The very moment assessment materials arrive at your school, whether it be hard copy or online, someone must be responsible for its security at all times. Test security is vital. Though every assessment has its own specified security guidelines, having an organizational plan is crucial. School-based test coordinators must attend test-specific training before each assessment administration regarding how test materials should be handled for each test. There are some security procedures that should always be in place regardless of the assessment. This includes all test materials being kept under lock and key with access limited to the school assessment coordinator and approved essential personnel. Prior to each test administration, school personnel participating in the test administration process must attend training specific to the test to be administered. Additionally, you'll be required to read and sign a copy of the Test Administration and Security Agreement. If you serve as a test administrator, you will be also required to read and sign the Test Administrator Prohibited Activities Agreement. Secure test content should never be used to prep students in advance of testing, nor should test materials be made available to students or teachers prior to administration. If a teacher has participated in the creation of an assessment, such as the Common Final Exams, he or she must not use any materials or knowledge gained from their participation to prepare their students prior to testing. As a reminder, all participants of the CFE creation process signed an assessment security and non-disclosure agreement, prohibiting them from sharing any secure documents, items, or information with students, teachers, and any other individuals. A breach of this security would violate the Florida Test Security Statute and the Florida State Board of Education Test Security Rule, as well as their signed agreement, and could result in disciplinary action. Any concerns around someone violating test security should be reported to your school-based test coordinator or directly to the Test Development and Measurement Office. In the same way, the roles of Bruce Wayne and Batman, played by Christian Bale in The Dark Knight, are different, the same can be said of the difference between the role of a teacher and the role of a test administrator and proctor. At your test administration training, your test coordinator will let you know if you will serve as a test administrator or as a proctor. Though these roles have different duties, together, both the test administrator and proctor share the responsibility for maintaining a standardized test setting, making sure students are working independently and remain neutral. A test administrator should never help students find an answer to a question or clarify an assessment item, point out missing or incorrect answers to students, read the test booklets as students are testing, make notes about or copies of information on the assessment, answer phone calls or otherwise use electronic devices except as allowed to manage the assessment. Test administrators and proctors must not either verbally or non-verbally impact student responses. Standardization is vital for ensuring that every student receives the same testing experience. Every test administrator should read the script verbatim, give students the appropriate time, familiarize themselves with the test sessions that are being given, read the manual prior to the day of testing, and be comfortable with all the processes surrounding the administration before the assessment session begins. If a student has a different assessment experience, their score is no longer comparable. It is important that the assessment results convey a clear picture of what students know and don't know. Students play a special role in maintaining test security. Before testing begins, students should always be made aware of testing rules surrounding prohibited activities during the administration of an assessment. In many cases, students will be asked to read or listen to these prohibited activities before physically or electronically signing a student testing rules acknowledgement. Here are some common prohibited activities that students must not partake in during testing. During the test, students are prohibited from talking to other students or making any disturbance, looking at another student's answer sheet or computer screen, allowing another student to look at his or her answer sheet or computer screen, asking for help answering any test questions, giving help to another student in answering test questions, having notes or scratch paper other than what is provided by the test administrator, having any electronic or recording devices at any time, including breaks, even if students do not use them, and failing to follow any other instructions that are given. Test administrators and test proctors must remain vigilant while students are testing. Administering or proctoring a test is not a passive activity. All administrators and proctors must be constantly attentive to what students are doing and circulate around the room in an unobtrusive way. During an assessment, one should never read, shop, pay bills, grade papers, work on a computer or electronic device, or do anything other than actively monitor students. When you're driving on the highway and you see a police officer in your rearview mirror, the first thing you do is slow down, even if you weren't speeding. Active proctoring is just like that officer in your rearview mirror and deters students from making bad decisions like hiding electronics or sharing answers or information about the assessment. Remember that students are endlessly creative. Proctors and administrators must remain vigilant to maintain test security. You are the adult and role model in the room. Active participation on your part will ensure a secure administration of the assessment. Test security doesn't end after the test has been administered. After the assessment, materials must be returned to your school-based test coordinator in a timely manner and using the secure process that he or she has set in place. The assessment's content must be kept secure even after testing has ended. All assessment materials, including the student response materials, must not be tampered with in any way. After testing, it is never acceptable to read student responses or any test content, remove stray marks on a booklet or answer sheet, or check or alter student responses in any way. Once testing has ended, teachers must not talk about or discuss the test with their students, other teachers, administrators, or staff. Assessment security is important, and there are consequences to breaking the security rules and procedures. It is not worth it. There are many ways to detect whether or not an assessment's security was violated. The state and district use various techniques to do so, including erasure, gains, and similarity analyses. Many security concerns are brought to light through reports from students, teachers, and parents. Contact your school's testing coordinator or test development and measurement department directly if you are concerned about a breach in security. The cost of violating security and impacting student responses can be very high. Breaching test security can result in hefty fines, loss of your teaching certificate, and even jail time. The Florida Department of Education conducts several forensic analyses at the completion of each test administration window to uncover potential test security violations. State law and district policies have been set in place to discourage these kinds of actions. When Oakhurst Intermediate School began receiving rising 5th and 6th grade students from Heidelberg Elementary at the start of the new school year, they discovered that many of the students that tested above grade level the previous school year were actually struggling readers and found basic math difficult. Something just wasn't adding up, especially when Heidelberg Elementary had risen from an F-rated school to an A in just 2 years. Concerns were raised when the principal at Oakhurst had to rework her master schedule to accommodate students who were previously placed in advanced courses based on receiving high test scores, but actually needed remedial help. This all began in January 2012. Heidelberg received a new principal. 4 months later, students at Heidelberg Elementary scored so high on Mississippi's state assessment that it put the Clarksdale School District in the running to be awarded a $10 million federal Race to the Top grant, one of only 5 districts in the nation to win the grant. The Mississippi Department of Education also found the scores to be unusual and requested that the school district complete an internal investigation of the test scores. Though the district found no wrongdoing, the MDE decided to conduct its own investigation. The investigation found that teachers were coaching students on the right answers. Heidelberg's principal was accused of encouraging this practice, or at least knew of it and failed to report it. At the conclusion of the investigation, the commission unanimously voted to deny the principal's application to renew her teacher certificate and barred her from reapplying for another 20 years. Additionally, 2 teachers were also implicated. One of the teachers had her teacher's license suspended for 3 years, and another voluntarily surrendered her teaching certificate. Breaching test security has a lasting impact on the students affected and on the livelihoods of the educators involved. It's not worth it.